I have a pretty unhealthy relationship with work. I'm the type of person that's always trying to do one more client project, one more podcast, or one more video. But a recent trip to Italy woke me up and reminded me that rest is not just the absence of work, but a crucial part of the process. So today I want to talk a little bit about how rest might be one of the most important things for being creative, productive, and fulfilled. I've been thinking about this stuff a lot because I recently went on 2 different trips. The first one was in Havasu, and I was at a bachelor party, to be fair. So even though I wasn't doing a lot of relaxing per se and getting proper rest and recharged, I was partying and whatnot, but it still is different from like being locked in and being in this work mode. You're still I guess letting your mind escape, even if your body is taking a little bit of damage. And it was nice to be completely disconnected from the work, especially being around a bunch of different people, being around all these dudes like going out and doing drinking games and fucking swimming in the pool, going out on the boat, stuff like that. Stuff where like you have these big activities or big things that are all planned out for you really do help me disconnect from always thinking about work. And like, when you're swimming or in a fucking water or doing something, like you're not on your phone, and that's probably one of the most important parts of the restful process is disconnecting from work and technology. And after that Havasu trip, I knew I had a really big trip coming up to Italy with my wife and her family, which I was super excited about. And I thought that it was something that would really fully like get me to take a proper vacation, proper break. Even a lot of times when I go on vacations and stuff, I'm kind of half-ass work, half vacation, and then you don't really get anything meaningful done, and you also don't fully rest. So I think it's important to lock into either mode and like truly embrace whatever season or moment of life that you're in. Building up to the trip too, in between when I went to Havasu and I went to Italy, I was in this 2 to 3 week period where my wife was already in Europe on a trip with her friends, where I was absolutely locked in, and it kind of gave me a taste of what life would be like if I was by myself. And it was cool and fun, but probably not healthy, because I went back into this classic like hyper productive mode. And I think that that's just some type of place that I kind of feel safe and secure. And I think that there's been times where I've overworked a lot to handle things like feeling safe and trauma and this and that when I get back into these like different and uncomfortable moments, my default is like fucking locking in, playing a lot of video games, working a lot all day, going out at night. And that's kind of a cycle that I repeat. And man, I designed 2 whole album art projects in my normal graphic design business for these cool bands and this artist. I filmed like 3 or 4 podcast episodes. I did a brand deal for this big brand that I had to post on Instagram. I did some other regular client work in between, designed some personal work, like so much stuff that it was almost like my body was like, get all this fucking work done so you can truly like relax and rest. And whether or not that is how it should be, kind of is just how it transpired. And I realized that I was basically working like every waking hour besides like the nighttime, because no one was there to stop me. Like there was times where I wasn't even eating and shit. And this is not a good thing. This is not something that I am trying to glamorize or think is cool, or even like whatever the word is, like romanticize it. Cause I think that shit gets you into a cycle of hyperproductive burnout, and it's not very sustainable. And I've went through crazy years and periods of my life that were like that, and now luckily they're a little bit more far and few in between. I think it's just I genuinely have a hard time shutting my brain off. It needs to be stimulated. I'm the type of person where even if I am resting or on a vacation, it's hard for me to like okay, an ideal person's like rest and vacation would be like sitting on the sand in a beach and like doing absolutely nothing. But for me, like my brain needs like a challenge. It needs to be stimulated. It needs something to do. And I don't know if that's a good thing, or it's just how I'm wired, or ADHD, or it's because I'm a freelancer and an entrepreneur and I always work from home. I think it's all those things combined. But I was noticing it a lot lately, and you take all those things together and it's an exact recipe for someone who isn't able to sit still and chill. Like my mind is always thinking about a million different things. And especially when you work for yourself, I feel like when you're a freelancer or any type of entrepreneur or both, and whether it's creative, if you're a designer, an artist, or you do something more like starting a small business, it's hard to not want to work more because then you benefit more. When you are an employee, the harder you work, you're benefiting someone else. You're filling someone else's pockets. You're growing someone else's business. It's kind of easy to cap out motivation there. When stuff you do directly benefits you, it's easier to want to do more and more, especially coming from a background that didn't have much. You start to get a little bit and you get this mindset where you want to keep it and you want to make sure. It's like, oh, if I get off the hamster wheel, it'll all just fall apart. And sometimes things happen where you feel vindicated in that feeling. And then other times things just work out how they were supposed to be. And it gives you a little bit more permission to maybe take things easier. But when I work from home, and I do leisure activities from home, I preach a lot about having like a good separation and stuff in your work-life balance, but I struggle with that a lot still. And I think everything just starts to blend together. I don't really work like 9 to 5 hours. I kind of just work like 3 to 7 days a week, depending on what's going on. And you just work like 24/7, like the stupid fucking memes. I've referenced it before, either on this podcast or on my main channel. It's like, I don't fuck with that 9 to 5. I quit that. Now I work 24/7. It can really feel that way sometimes. Or you work nothing. And I was doing some research on like different ADHD and like neurodivergent things. And my therapist was mentioning something to me about how a lot of people who have any of those things deal with this like all or nothing thinking. And I struggle with that a lot, where it's, oh, if I don't work all the time, I won't work at all. If I don't get this done, I'll never get anything done. If it's like the opposite of you never forget how to ride a bike. It's like if I stop making designs, I'll forget how to do good design work, or I'll forget how to make videos, or whatever like skill or project or hobby you're doing. And yeah, so like sometimes I'll be fucking answering emails at like 11 p.m. midnight because it feels like, oh, I'm going to get that out of the way for myself tomorrow. But tomorrow was not that busy of a day. Like I could have easily done it then. And I don't know, I'm up late night, like thinking about random ideas sometimes. And sometimes it's cool because it is like, I'm really prone to, I'm really susceptible to inspiration. If something inspires me that I want to get into, I'll do it. And I can get excited about something and go 100 fucking miles a minute. The same thing is that can be good and that can benefit me and I can make some cool shit. But oftentimes it can distract me from the thing I'm already doing. And then now you're here and now you're here and now you're there. And I think just in general, working for yourself, there's hard to find an off switch. So I do think that off switch matters more than ever for people who truly need this time to rest, since they're not getting rest designated to them by like their employers or whatever when they're off. And when I work too late at night or when I do too much to get ahead, I always try to remind myself that there is no ahead. There will always be more work. There will always be cooler stuff for me to create, and there will always be stuff for me to do, for better or for worse. So there's no point in pushing myself to burnout or past its limits for something that is inevitably impossible. If I can't ever get ahead, why use all this precious mental and physical energy trying to do that? The work can literally continue forever if you let it. And that's kind of the main idea of what I want to talk about, is rest is not just something that happens after the work is done. Because for some people, the work is never done. And rest is something that works in a symbiotic relationship with the work or with creativity or with whatever thing that you're trying to do. And it's just one of the special ingredients that I truly think makes good work possible. And I've seen it happen firsthand. You need to be able to recharge, to get a new perspective, to come up with new ideas, and to stay motivated. It's really hard to stay motivated when you're in this constant stage of burnout and feeling like you're being forced to do something, or feeling like you're doing something as an obligation rather than something you truly enjoy. And yeah, you love what you do. You never work a day in your life. Sure, that's kind of true. But you got to work either way. So you might as well kind of love it. And why would you want to overwork yourself to a point where you feel like the thing that you want to be doing and want to be motivated about is a burden? You know, if getting ahead makes the thing that you love doing feel like a burden, it's not worth it. So it's important to rest. And when I went on this trip recently to Italy, it reminded me of that. It really gave me a little wake up call. You need this every once in a while that, oh shit, I was kind of working too hard. I was on the brink of a new burnout cycle or whatever. And I think their lifestyle out there too is not for me entirely. I think I am a little too high strung and trying to do stuff all over the place and liking schedules and this and that for them. But it was inspirational to see like people just hanging out, like grown ass dudes at like 2-3 p.m. just at a coffee shop or at a restaurant talking with their boys and like just relaxing, and everything felt like less competitive, a slower pace. They literally have the siesta in like other countries in Europe in the middle of the day where places just shut down. It's a little inconvenient when you truly don't know when places are going to be open or not. But if it makes the quality of living better for everyone else, then I'm sure it's worth it. It was cool to see like a bunch of sick architecture, and I didn't go to like all kinds of places in Italy. Granted, I was only in like the southern Amalfi Coast place, so it was somewhat limited, but the stuff I did see was sick, and I loved the food. And one thing I'll say, though, side note, I've been to so many places now that have dank food. Italy, Japan, France. And some of my favorite meals have been in these countries. But holy shit, living in LA or living in New York, if you live in like the 5 major metropolitan cities in the United States, we truly have some of the best food. You go to other places and realize these places in the States that are like, this is authentic food. It is a lot of times. And sometimes it's better, which is insane. It's like a double-edged sword, right? Like the best pizza I've ever had isn't in Italy, and the best sushi I've ever had is not in Japan. But maybe the average is better, right? The baseline, because we have a lot of dog shit over here. But I think we have some of the best too, because people come here to pursue this like dream of being the best chef or whatever it may be. I think it's a little more competitive, which is probably not good, the overall like enjoyment of it, but it is for the flavors. I think too is that my point about that I'm trying to make too is we need to like not get any work done, but you do get more done when you work a little bit less. Like being mentally sharp and productive and getting stuff done is important, but that can only come with the rest. Cause you're never going to find me doing no anti-work, like just chill, just hang out, propaganda. Cause I'm not. You got to do shit to get shit done. The answer isn't just to not do as much, but it's to not do as much and work less strategically and treating rest as something that deserves respect and dedicated time. It's almost like you have to be even more deliberate with your rest, like scheduling it or something, or like whatever works for you, but taking it serious, and don't let that energy be taken away from by yourself or by other people. And I love working, I love making things. I love making videos. I love making podcasts. I love designing stuff. I love doing art. I love working on a new hobby or a craft or whatever. Even like my actual work. Yeah. Like even maybe not so much when I was like an employee at a job I wasn't passionate about, but ever since I started doing my own like freelance business, like I love doing it. And what I realized though is when I work hard and when I get stuff done and feel proud of myself and feel productive and feel like I did something that not only made me fulfilled and happy, but is going to benefit other people and hopefully, not change the world or anything, but put a little 0.01% of the world better, or the city better that I live in. That's good. And when you do this hard work, I think it truly gives you permission, whether it's in your own head or whatever, to rest without any guilt. Hard work creates opportunities for rest that can be enjoyed without guilt. When you really got shit done and you locked in and you were honest with yourself and you worked a reasonable amount and did what you had to do, it feels good to take a break. feels good to go out on the weekend after you had a hard work week. When there's times when I've been down bad or not getting shit done or when I'm unemployed, it doesn't feel as good to go out and fucking dick around because it feels like you didn't earn it. And not to say you have to earn every little source of leisure. There's a balance there. But I do think the people who deserve the rest the most are the people who have earned it in that way. And sometimes they don't give themselves permission to rest still. And I'm trying to get better at this. This is all, like, a lot of times I make these podcasts or these videos. It's not me talking from a state of enlightenment or something that I've already figured out. It's me learning with you in the process. Even when it's like on my main channel with graphic design stuff, I don't have all that figured out. I don't have everything figured out about freelancing or business or whatever. Same way I don't have everything figured out about the things I talk about on this channel. But it's nice to talk through them and hopefully hear a little bit about your guys' perspective on this stuff. I'd love to hear more about what you think about this idea of rest, because for me, the cycle I always end up falling back into, even when I think I have it all figured out, is I work really, 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 really hard, get all this stuff done. It feels sustainable. It feels like it's working. And then it slowly becomes not working. I burn myself out. I finally take a break. I come back so inspired because I got to recharge, take this break, got to see everything from a new perspective. Come back. Now the work-life balance is more healthy. Everything's working good. Oh shit, I'm working harder. It's slowly slipping away. Bam, the cycle repeats. And I think that you can never fully break that cycle unless you develop healthier guardrails. And it's kind of like that Albert Einstein quote where it was the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. That's how that fucking cycle can be. And you see it with things like working too much, addiction, trouble with food, relationships, whatever. Like, until you fully recognize that something should change, it won't. Maybe I don't need to hit this crazy burnout every time to allow myself a permission to go on a break or go on a vacation or fully recharge. Maybe those things can be fewer and far in between and just become, more reasonable and healthy. And to me, one of the better analogies I've thought of for rest is kind of like, or taking breaks is kind of like working out, right? You almost never want to do it beforehand, at least me. It's so much easier to not work out and to not do something like physical that you had planned. But afterwards, you almost never regret it. You feel better, you feel stronger, you feel more fulfilled, you feel just more like a human being. Humans are meant to move around and do things, especially someone who fucking sits on my ass all day and works and plays video games and stuff. I need to move around. And, I think that's how taking breaks are. I almost never want to take a break, especially when I'm really busy and overworked. And that's probably the most important time to do it, because I know I'll come back creatively fulfilled and with a new perspective and with a new lens of things. There's times where I could spend 40 hours trying to work away something that I'm trying to figure out. And instead I could have just took a break for that 40 hours and came back and figured it out in like 1 or 2. Because you actually gave yourself time to recharge and rest and replenish your energy, whether it's through productive stuff, creative stuff, whatever. This isn't all just for, people who make things in that way. It's just work in general. Something else that I've noticed more through a creative lens is almost all the people that I am either friends with or look up to or respect their work or their artistry do this shit. They take creative escapes and they take breaks, They go on these camping trips, they go hiking, they do gardening, they go surfing, climbing, whatever. And they have these things that fully take them away from stuff, whether it's like sprinkled in throughout the week or for a month-long trip or whatever. Like some of the most talented people I know, you'll see them on Instagram and like they're gone for a month and they went away to some other country or they traveled or they went and spent time with family or they just went away and escaped and disappeared for a little while. And there's some of the people that you would not be able to say that they don't get shit done or they're not productive or they don't make good shit, because they do. These aren't just people who are always doing this and all like never doing anything. But I think that a little bit better than me, maybe they've figured out how to actually give themselves permissions to take these big breaks and enjoy life. And I'm trying to get better at that as well. And hopefully some of y'all are too. And this video can help inspire that a little bit. I don't think that's a coincidence though, that these truly good creators and artists go away, escape for a while, and come back and make some of their best work. A couple years ago, I actually read this book called Rest, where I got a lot of inspiration for this podcast and ideas. I haven't read it in a while, but I did want to mention it because I feel like it would be unfair of me to both the author and just this book itself, because it did help me a lot and it did inspire me. So if you want to check it out, it's Alex Sujong Kim Peng, and it's called Rest. And the tagline I love, why you get more done when you work less. And some of the biggest takeaways I took from this book were there's kind of like these three buckets they come up with, right? There's work, there's rest, and then there's play. Distinction they had between those, because a lot of times people think of like, oh, I have to go rest. And they think about it how I was thinking about it. Like I have to go sit somewhere and do absolutely nothing. Yeah, sometimes that's necessary, and physical rest too, like sleeping, but there's also play. Like sometimes I get the most rest and recharged by literally playing like a frustrating video game all night. Even though it might not feel that way, it's stimulating my creative brain in a different way, but also simultaneously like filling it up. Play would be something like going out and doing an adventure or working on a game or a puzzle, or like whatever you think playing would be in your mind, something that you did as a kid, or what would that be as an adult? That is another important thing, not just the rest and the full like zorbing out of absolutely nothing. So that stuff still can fill your creative cup, but it takes some physical energy, but it's different, and that can be a lot of different things: walking, reading, photography, climbing, listening to records, video games, running, working out, whatever. So these things don't drain you, they refill you. And then there's the actual rest. But there's a lot of different cool ideas in this book. So I do recommend it, especially if you are someone who already gravitated towards this video or this podcast. Like I said too originally, I don't have all this stuff figured out. I am probably at times going to continue to overwork myself and continue to go into these cycles. But as long as I get a little bit better each time, I think it's worth it. I still love making things. I still love getting excited about new projects, and I want that feeling to continue. And I know in my heart that I'll only feel that way if I give myself the proper guardrails and the proper time to rest. And after this Italy trip, I realized something. Some of my best ideas don't come from just sitting and working away at something. Sometimes they come from when I'm doing absolutely nothing at all. Rest is not just something that you get to earn after you complete all your work. It's an important part of the process in itself. And it's probably one of the reasons that you do great work in the first place. We cannot make cool shit without feeling actually creatively recharged and fulfilled. That's kind of what I've been thinking about this week. I would love to hear what has been on your mind lately. Let me know in the comments below or on a DM or whatever. And if you made it to this point of the podcast or video, why not subscribe? Whether you're on the audio or here on the video, whatever. Anyway, that's it for this one, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.